Camera on. Hello, viewers. Thank you for joining us for another segment of Camera On with Authors Inside. I'm very excited about our guest today. He's an entrepreneur, and you'll have the opportunity to meet him. But before we get started, can you hit the like button and subscribe to get notification when we drop more segments like this? I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Like I said, I'm very excited to hear what he has to say because he's really showing how it's done. Hello, how you doing today?
Good, brother. My name is Eric Cabrera.
Pleasure to meet you, Eric. Thanks for joining us, man.
Pleasure.
Can you share?
Pleasure.
Go ahead.
I said a pleasure to be here. Thank you for asking me to do this as well.
Yes. Can you share with our viewers how long you was incarcerated, if you don't mind, and can you share with us what that experience was like?
Well, in 2010, very early 2010, I was arrested for conspiracy to distribute over 1,000 kilograms of marijuana. I was caught basically with 5,000 pounds of marijuana in the back of one of my diesel trucks, going to Illinois. I was transporting at the time. So I eventually got 14 years off of it, and I was able to I didn't have to do the entire 14 years because in federal prison, you only do 85% of that. Plus it took a drug diversion class. So I was able to get a year off thanks to actually the First Step Act being passed.
Yeah.
It's a federal thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long was you incarcerated?
For 11 and a half years.
11 and a half years. And what was that like? What was your mentality, your mindset when you were going through those 11 and a half years?
Well, I was a little upset at first, but then I had to realize I had to stop blaming people and take responsibility for my own actions. And regardless if, I think somebody told on me or any of that, it's all part of what happens. When you do wrong, if you're not doing wrong, there's no reason to look over your shoulder, but it's just all part of it. So,
Yeah.
while I was in there, got to learn a lot about the Lord, and really got really deep with my relationship with Jesus Christ as well.
Praise God. Praise God.
Yes.
Hey, how long have you been home now?
Ooh, but for about 2.5 years already.
2.5
Yep.
years. Hey, what's
Yep.
that feeling like? What's that feeling like?
Man, it's so amazing, man. Just being with my family. I had to, while I was incarcerated, I had to raise my son just through visits, telephone calls, and letters, and I had to watch him grow up all those years because he was about 3 years old when I was incarcerated. And fortunately for me, my wife, she waited for me the entire time. She was there for me, and she had the mentality that where she wanted to make sure our son knew his dad, and she didn't want him to see her with any other man to mess him up. So so she stayed with me, and so I had to raise my son with my wife, but just through visits and phone calls and letters. So now it's just so good. By the grace of God, I got to see God's mercy on my life. When I got out, my son wasn't bitter toward me. He wasn't angry. It's like we picked up where we left off. And so it's just amazing being out here now, and finally was able to open a business since I've been out, and I'm still on federal parole today. But right now I own a thriving business here in Pismo Beach, California. Yep.
And I'm glad you brought that up. What is that business?
I own a Hawaiian style shave ice and boba shop. Believe it or not, years ago I've owned a few businesses. Like I had a truck company and a truck school, and I had a couple of tattoo shops. So
Yeah.
this is the first time I had this type of style of business, like a restaurant style of business. But yeah, Hawaiian
Yeah.
shave ice and boba.
Hey, man, I applaud you, man, for getting out and starting your own business and being successful, man. And that's this part. I want the youngsters, the generation behind us, to see how someone can turn it around after they go through your type of experience.
Yeah. You know, God really getting to know God really changed the way I would think and look at life, how I looked at life, how I approached now everything I do it to honor God. And one thing that I realized is I don't know if I've ever told you the definition of a convict. Have I ever told you that?
No, you never shared that with me.
Okay, well, the definition of a convict, and this is like a mic drop here, is somebody who is a victim of their thoughts. somebody who's been victimized by the way they think. And sometimes the way we think really comes from how we were raised and the morals, if we had any, and the different way of looking at life what were instilled in our minds as we grew up, even from the people we grew up with, the TV shows we watched, the type of music we watched, may have had a big influence on a lot of our lives. I know it did for me. So
Again,
again, my definition of a convict is somebody who's a victim to the way they think, right?
makes sense.
Who's a victim to where sometimes the way we grow up, the type of things we watch on TV, the people that we've hung out with, people who were influential in our life, they could have been negative or positive. The type of music we may have listened to will shape the way we think. And sometimes we react and respond to certain events in our life that happen based on how our minds were shaped from all that stuff, you know?
Yeah,
And so
definitely.
yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, so the definition to me of a convict is somebody who's been victimized by their concepts. Get it?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so now that I've learned and had an amazing, thriving relationship with Jesus Christ, I'm no longer a victim to my thoughts. I'm actually now victorious with my new concepts, which are kingdom concepts. And
Yeah,
so now the way I operate now, all the decisions I make regarding how I approach life will honor God. And so
yeah.
when I have that in the forefront of everything, I'm able to be successful in life, no matter where I go. It doesn't matter. It supersedes everything and the stereotypes that people have towards me or anybody else. With my tattoos, my bald head, everything, the way I look, people see past that now because it's a certain type of spirit that we emit from ourselves, and it's God's spirit, man. And he's been able to change my life and just been successful out here. I'm still after 11 and a half years. I've only been out for 2.5 years. And, even a year before, just not even a year before I was out, I was already able to open this business. And I'm still on federal probation to this day. But people don't, that's not my identity in this world. And it doesn't have to be anybody else's identity. Your identity is basically who God created to be and what the situation that God has you in now. If you're really trying to change, you have to allow God to change your life and change your mindset so you no longer become a victim of your own concepts, which is the definition of a convict. Isn't that amazing?
Definitely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. What I hear you saying is having a relationship with Jesus Christ, it helped you renewed your thinking.
That's the only way it could work. I tried everything else. That's the only Jesus Christ is the only one who can really truly change a person's mindset from not being conformed to the patterns of this world, to the human secular human thinking, the way humans think.
Okay.
Only he can help us conform to the way he thinks, which is basically everything I do is going to honor God.
Hey, Eric, let me ask you, that 11 and a half years while you was incarcerated, what would you say was the most violent experience you saw or you encountered? Will
Oh
you
man,
share?
I've seen,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've seen some stabbings. I've seen a guy um pretty much get decapitated. They didn't get the guards got to them quickly. He had a certain crime that wasn't approved of amongst other inmates, and so somehow they got a hold of him and they literally like tried to decapitate the guy. But I've seen, you're the stuff that you actually see in prison, the stabbings, the beat downs and all that stuff. And um, it was prison's a violent place. But
Yeah.
out of all that, I made a decision. I could choose to continue this type of lifestyle and be violent right along with him, or allow God to change me and maybe be the guy who prays for everybody while we're incarcerated. Maybe be that one light that, since everybody else is living in darkness, hey, God used me to at least pray for people to come to pray for them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Thank you for sharing that, Eric. What specific approaches and strategies would you suggest to try to engage the average youth?
The After getting out of prison, one thing a lot of people get stuck on and that it keeps them from moving forward is they'll come out with the mindset that people will automatically look at them like they just got out of prison. That is, if you operate with that identity, if that's your identity, then people will be able to feel that, like that type of energy coming out of you. You know, like, okay, this guy's weird. He's standoffish. He's not smiling. He seems like he doesn't have any confidence. You have
Yeah,
to literally operate and put that aside because there's plenty of jobs out there that hire ex-felons. You know,
yeah.
you might not be a doctor, but there's plenty of jobs out there. And
No, Eric. I don't want to cut you. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm talking
yeah,
about. I mean, that's important too. But the next generation, average youth, these youngsters who hang around the wrong crowd, doing drugs, not listening to their parents. What do you think is
oh,
some of the best approaches and strategies to engage them?
to engage them or for them to
Yeah,
engage into.
for us to engage them to try to change their course
Oh,
of life.
well, first of all, you have to have credibility. So you have to be the type of person that when people know that you've been through things in life due to your own bad decisions, you have to first change so you can have credibility that change is real. So in order for you to engage them, you have to have proof of your personal life, that your personal life has already changed, that you made the conscious decision to change your life. And then you can start talking to them and letting and encouraging them and saying, hey, look, I was on the wrong path, just like you. I was in the same similar path, just as you. And let me tell you, it led to some of my friends being killed, and it led to me going to prison. Those are the only two choices you have. There's no other choice until it's time for you to change. Now, when you decide to change, you'll no longer head for that down those roads. You know what I mean? And so that's how you engage with people. I constantly and continuously engage with youngsters out here who are in the wrong path. I volunteer at the youth group at for the youth here at our local church, and you know there's a lot of guys there who want a good example, who need to hear it, who they want to hear that somebody knows exactly what they're going through and what can they do to get out of it. And so again, you have to first make sure you change your life and you made a conscious decision to change your life as well, because that will determine whether people will accept you or not. You have to have credibility. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, man. Thank you for that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason why I ask you these questions is not to let people know prison is cool. I just want, or we glorify prison. I want you to let them know the raw and uncut truth, man, of how prison really is. And I thank you for your your feedback on how it is, because we're trying to let these kids know, man, that prison ain't cool, man.
Yeah.
There's a whole nother
Prison is
world out there.
terrible.
Yeah.
You know, my mother and my father passed away. There was nothing I could do. They passed away. Both of them passed away while I was incarcerated. I call home and my kids are sick. There's nothing I can do. I call home and my wife's, really stressed about money. There's nothing I can do. There's absolutely not, you have no control. You can't help anybody. All you can do is maybe give them advice, but you're away from everything. Then there's good times where your kids wish you were there. Your mom wished you were there for a great anniversary, and you cannot be
Mhm.
there. You are stuck. You have no control. People tell you what to do, when to go to bed, when to eat. Contrary to any gangster's belief, prison is terrible, man. It's not a place where you want to go to.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no fun in prison. Believe me, I did 11 and a half years in prison. There's nothing there. I don't wish that on my worst enemy, man.
yeah. Hey, Eric, what motivated you? What motivated you to change?
Man, my family, God, and especially number one, God. And just, man, I finally had to make a decision and stand up for my life. I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. At some point in your life, you have to stand up for your life. And when you stand up for your life, you're standing up for your family's life because everybody's affected, no matter what. There's no crime that's victimless. There's always going to be a victim, whether it's your kids not being able to see you because you got arrested, they're victims too. So what motivates me is just to stay grounded and stay successful is I don't want to go back to prison. I hated that feeling of being locked up. I hated the feeling of sometimes it felt like the walls were closing in on me. And man, freedom is amazing, man. It's awesome out here, man. We're thriving out here. God is so good. I can eat
Yeah,
whatever I want to eat, go wherever I
yeah,
want to go. It's
yeah,
amazing out here, brother.
yeah. Hey, Eric, that's good. Thanks for sharing that part, Eric. I'm gonna take you back. If you can go back and talk to your 9-year-old self, Eric, what would you tell yourself?
First of all, I'd slap him silly. So, way to go! No, I'd tell him, look, because I didn't have any mentors growing up, not any good ones. I'll tell him, look, you have a purpose for your life. You weren't an accident in this world. God created you for a purpose. Amazing things are coming your way should you choose to do the right way, to live right. You know, get connected with people who are there for you, who want to encourage you to be successful, not to bring you down with them. I would tell my 9-year-old self, you have to start thinking right. Go to school, get an education, be around people who you know aren't going to direct you to where to bad places. And you really, really have to watch who you hang out with, who your biggest influences are, and just, love your parents as much, love your parents to death, and most of all, love yourself, and just know that you were created for something greater than you can even imagine right now. It's bigger than what you can even imagine. But the main thing is, find a mentor, find a big brother who will encourage you. Somebody positive, not anybody that was in the drug game, not anybody that's doing illegal stuff. Somebody who that cares about you, and somebody who's successful, and somebody who wants to help you and give you a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up, and lead you in the right direction, and be there for you when you feel like the chips are down. You don't have anybody else to talk to. Find a mentor. If you don't feel like you can talk to your parents, find somebody that's positive in your life to talk to. But just know that you're created for something great.
Oh man, well said, man. Well said, man. Hey Eric, man, I want to thank you for taking your time out your day, man, to join us, man. We really appreciate it. And you're welcome back anytime. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Uh Man, I just want to praise God. I want to thank you, man. It's been good talking to you. I'm always grateful to God for whenever He feels like He wants to use me for something, and I just pray that this it's just even just one thing, somebody could just take away one thing positive just from this interview here. But keep striving for the best, because the rest of your life is going to be the best of your life if you choose to live that way. Choose to live for your life, choose to thrive. You don't have to just be existing and be alive. You can be alive and thrive. Be the best you can be. Find a mentor again, and just know that you're destined and you're created for great things. Whoever's listening out there, if you think you have no purpose in your life, you're mistaken. Yeah. God put you on this earth for a reason. You just have to ask God to give you clarity on that, whatever it is that He put you on this earth for. And I know it's always for something good.
What's up, man? Hey Eric, you're an inspiration, man. Like I say, I admire you, man, and keep up the good work, man. And I hope to talk to you soon, man. And God bless you, man.
God bless you too, brother. Take care.
Thank you, man. Camera off.